So today I'm actually standing in front of my pantry. I wanted to kind of walk you through the things that I have and then give you some ideas for recipes that you can make with those things. Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegan Schmegan Blog. In case you don't know, my name is Melissa and I share my vegan recipes and how I live my vegan life to show you how simple it can be. So today I'm actually standing in front of my pantry. I wanted to kind of walk you through the things that I have and then give you some ideas for recipes that you can make with those things. It might be a little bit outside the box and just kind of get the juices flowing for you and give you some ideas that aren't super boring that you can make with your pantry staples. If you head over to my Instagram, I actually have a highlight called Be Prepared, where I did a full pantry, fridge, and freezer tour just to kind of show you the things that I had stocked up on while we're like quarantined or social distancing right now. I didn't overly stock up or get anything crazy, but I do have a little bit more food than I usually have. Today, instead of just cooking some specific recipes, I wanted to just go through my pantry and then show you some ideas of recipes that I would make with what I have in my pantry to hopefully inspire you to come up with some new recipes for things that you have so you don't get sick and tired of eating the same things over and over. So let's go to the actual pantry and I will show you what I'm working with. All right, so I'm gonna start off with my top shelf up here where I usually keep all of my beans and things like that. So first up, I have a lot of different varieties of beans. Pinto beans, I have great white beans, I have garbanzo beans or chickpeas, and then I have some black beans. I also have some random things like salsa, and then I also have refried beans. I have a can of olives, a can of corn, and a can of chili in here. I also have some jackfruit, just a couple of random things that I already had on hand. So beans, of course, are extremely versatile. You can make chili. I actually have a recipe for a quick, easy chili with pantry staples coming up here soon. And then another thing that you can make with beans is just a traditional, like a 3-bean stew or something like that. With chickpeas specifically, you could make curries. You could mix your chickpeas with vegan mayo. And then if you have like celery and carrots, you could make a little chickpea tuna salad. Even if you don't have celery and carrots right now, you could mix it with mayo and salt and pepper and still get the job done and have something. So that's a couple things you can do with chickpeas. With black beans, you can thin it out and blend it up and make like a black bean soup. That would be really delicious. If you have tortillas, you could make tacos. You could make black bean brownies with the black beans. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with black beans, so there's a couple of ideas. With the white beans, I actually have a recipe on my website for how to make a healthy buffalo chicken dip with white beans. So if you do have those ingredients, that's a cool recipe that you can make. If you don't have those ingredients, you could definitely make different like sauces and bases with white beans. So I just want to throw that out there. They're pretty flavorless and they take on a lot of flavor from whatever you add to them. So I love having these as a staple in the pantry. And then of course with refried beans, you can make a lot of tacos, you can make burrito bowls. That's just some simple ideas for those. And then next up, I have some peanut butter. I usually don't buy the super processed kind or anything with hydrogenated oils, but this was literally the only peanut butter brand that was left in the store when I went, so I scooped it up while I could. Peanut butter is super versatile. Of course, you could make peanut butter toast, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You could even use peanut butter to make like curries or in your ramen to make like a nice thick ramen broth. There's really a lot that you can do with peanut butter, so get creative. Don't think of it just as a sandwich topping. Think outside of the box with it. You could also make African peanut stew, which is really delicious and uses a lot of just kind of basic staple ingredients. So look into that, it's super delicious. Another thing that I have on hand is tahini. I love tahini. It took me a long time to come around to it for some reason, but now I'm obsessed with it. I like to make a dressing. If you go to my website and look at the kale Caesar salad recipe, I show you how I make the most delicious tahini-based dressing. It's so good. I'm obsessed with it. I honestly make it 3 times a week, so that's usually what I do with my tahini. I shared that ramen recipe recently and I put some tahini in the broth just to give it some richness and depth, and I love the flavor that the sesame adds to things. You can also use tahini in like sweet recipes, like some kind of cookies will call for like some tahini in them. So those are some ideas. You can look up some recipes for cookies using tahini. In the far depths of my pantry, I have some nori, so I can make some sushi. I have some avocados and rice, so that's an option for you if you do have some sheets of nori. If you don't want to get all in depth and make sushi, you can also cut it up with kitchen scissors or a knife and then just make a sushi bowl so you don't have to get too intricate with them. Coming down to my next shelf, I have some pantry staples that I have in my jars here. I'll show you some of those now. So of course I have nutritional yeast. This is all that I have, so I'm going to need some more. But nutritional yeast is like vegan crack. It's so good. I use it in the kale salad dressing that I mentioned. That's the most frequent use that I have for it. I like to just sprinkle it on basically everything. If you have a lot of potatoes in your pantry because they're pretty shelf stable, you could be making potato cheese sauce with nooch. Nooch is a super versatile ingredient and you can use it in a ton of different recipes. I have some basic things in here like nuts. So I have like Brazil nuts, cashews, I have some walnuts. I have some dried beans, like red beans in the bag. I have some flax seeds and chia seeds, which are great for smoothies or chia pudding, or as an egg replacement for baking. So if you have excess of those, you could look into those kind of recipes. I have this jar of TVP, which stands for textured vegetable protein. This is a great way to get in some protein in a dish. You can use it kind of like soy curls. You soak them and then add some flavor into them, and then you could use them as like a ground beef substitute. They're pretty delicious and versatile. They have no flavor basically, so you could even put them in sweet recipes. Like my husband likes to add it to his oatmeal just to up the protein content. So that's some things that you can do with TVP. Next up, I have oats. This looks really low, but I have a big canister of oats down below, but these are rolled oats and those are instant oats, and I just didn't want to mix them. But anyways, with oats, you could of course make oatmeal. You could mash them with bananas and make cookies. If you ran out of non-dairy milk, you could blend up 1 cup of oats with 4 cups of water and add in a little bit of like vanilla and salt and even some sugar if you want some sweetness in it. And that's a quick, easy oat milk. So oats are definitely great to have on hand. I have a big tub of brown rice on hand. We're always going through brown rice, so this is excellent to have on hand. You know, of course, you can just make rice to serve with your dishes. You can also have rice as a sweet dish, like a porridge with milk and cinnamon and sugar. My mom used to make that for us as kids for breakfast, so I always love having rice that way. You can even make rice milk. You could also blend up rice with water and add vanilla and salt and whatnot and have rice milk if you need a non-dairy milk. And then I just have some flour here. You could use your flour to make pizza dough, bread. Sweet Simple Vegan has a 4-ingredient no-knead bread recipe that I'm actually going to be trying here shortly. So yeah, look into recipes like that to make some simple like breads, muffins, pizza dough, things like that with your flour. In this bag here, I have quinoa. It's kind of hard to see, but that's what I have here. You can make quinoa the same way as brown rice and just prep a bunch of it and have it on the side of your meals. You could even make quinoa milk. Again, there's a lot of things that you can do with quinoa similar to brown rice. I like quinoa pilafs or like making like a fresh salad and adding cold quinoa as your base. It's super delicious and that's just a fun way that I like to use it. And then I have a few packs of this Top Ramen. The soy sauce flavor from Top Ramen is vegan. Top Ramen is extremely versatile. It's super cheap. I think these were 30 cents a package at Winco here in Oregon. You can make it just as like traditional ramen by using the seasoning packet, the noodles, adding water and maybe some vegetables or tofu to have simple ramen. I shared a recipe for ramen with a cashew broth. That's kind of a fun way to elevate it with things that you probably already have in your pantry. Another thing that you can do is just cook the noodles and then use them in a stir fry. So don't add any water to make it a soup, use it as a stir fry instead. Next up, I'm going to get into the bottom of my pantry where I have some produce and then just some lesser used items. So I have some very ripe bananas here and avocados. I have a lot of potatoes right now. This bin is full of red potatoes. I have some sweet potatoes, and then in another bin I have some Yukon potatoes. Potatoes are of course extremely versatile. You can make mashed potatoes, you can make an Irish stew with potatoes, you can just make any other kind of soup with a potato. You could do potatoes with nooch or cashews and then add broccoli to make a cheesy broccoli soup. You could do potatoes and nooch to make a cashew cheese sauce. If you look up Hasselback potatoes, you slice the potatoes and add oil to get like crispy layers. Those are delicious. You could just have simple baked potatoes and then load them with your favorite toppings, like some of the beans, for example. So there's actually a lot that you can do with potatoes, so get creative with them. I also have some of these instant brown rice. They're not my favorite, but they do come in handy, and I could not find any other kind of rice in the store when I was there, so I grabbed a couple boxes of these. Another kind kind of rice that I found is this giant bag of Thai jasmine rice that I got at Costco literally forever ago. I actually didn't even know that I had that until I started setting up for this video. So yeah, puppy, I found some jasmine rice. And then in the back corner over here, I have all of my baking goods. So I have flour, cornstarch, I have powdered sugar that I didn't use for a recipe a while ago. I have some cocoa powder, coconut sugar, vanilla, and almond extract. I also have some vital wheat gluten, which you could use to make seitan at home. You can look up a good recipe for that. And then the last thing I have is some Bob's Red Mill vegan egg replacer. So if you have some kind of egg replacer like that, it's obviously good for baking and whatnot. And then getting into the very last shelf of my pantry, I have a few boxes of just some like spiced oatmeal packets. I also have a big tub of minute oats on hand, just like quick oats. We have some protein powder over here. And then I have some random things like popcorn. All right guys, so that is what I have in my pantry, just kind of stocked up for being at home, social distancing and quarantine and whatnot. Those are just some ideas of recipes that I will probably be making with what I have in my pantry, and I hope that it was helpful to give you ideas of new ways that you can use some of the ingredients that you have in your pantry. If you have some ideas for me for recipes that I could make with things that I have in my pantry that I didn't mention, please let me know down in the comments. And then of course, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe down below. I do share new recipes on Thursdays at 3 p.m. and I'm going to be sharing very pantry friendly recipes for the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for those. I hope that you guys are all safe and you're social distancing and you're keeping mentally and physically healthy during this time. Just remember that we're going to get through this. Everything's going to be okay. Just keep your distance. Don't panic. Just keep what you need on hand, a little bit extra. Nothing crazy, and we're going to be okay. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.